Okay.
Hello and welcome to the Future Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I'm your host, Ty Spiker Christensen. Blink twice. I don't know if that's actually a line. I blinked many times in this movie. Okay. And we got Jordan Christensen on the podcast.
I think the quote you were looking for, Ty, is blink twice if I'm in danger.
Blink twice if I'm in danger. No, the one I was thinking of, think twice before you touch my girl. It's a song by Eve Six, and I kept thinking about this every time I thought of the title. Anyway, we got Cameron Mickle on the podcast.
Oh, you know what I thought of, Cameron? Sorry, really quick, is I thought of the guy that has
Yeah, no worries. Can I finish my
the
introduction?
Polaroid. It reminded me of your little wind-up camera that you use still.
Red Rabbit. Red Rabbit.
Red Rabbit. I thought she was saying red rum at first, and I can't help but think that that's like she's talking to the person in her
Was she
finger.
saying Red Rabbit or what was she saying?
Yeah,
Yeah, red
because
rabbit.
her if you notice her nails the first time she came to the island
Uh,
were red rabbits.
Yep, she recognized
But
her.
Jordan was too busy just hating on her and hating everything that she represented to notice that detail.
Yeah, you don't need to hate the locals so much, Jordan. Jeez, you don't have to spit on the people that serve you at hotels and resorts every time you go out. I saw him doing it too. So send it back. It's so funny.
Take
No,
it back.
yeah. No, what was it? Annie nails? Amy nails? Oh, animals, because you like animals. My
Well,
actual
well,
quote was
what's great about that is
my quote was gonna be, oh, go ahead,
he's
Tim.
literally just doing that because he's already heard her give the whole entire spiel.
Yes. So he
Mm.
And so he's
overcompensates.
like,
And then I was thinking of, I'm sorry,
oh,
I'm sorry, 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 I'm sorry. I was like, oh my gosh, Channing Tatum going for it, man.
yeah, I really enjoyed that.
I know you did, which is why you gave it a 9. Whoa, let's settle down. Recency bias much? Because I watched this movie and I thought, did Cameron just feel like he had something serious
Didn't you
missing
give it
out?
an eight?
Yeah, you gave it an 8, so you're acting like, whoa,
I was like,
Cameron.
well,
No.
Cameron thought it was great. I thought it was
Let me
very
clarify.
good.
The more I think about this movie, the less I like it. So you're gonna have to help me rekindle my love for it because
That's
I've been
funny
thinking
because
about it a
Cameron
lot.
explaining some of these details, I'm like, oh, okay, I got a little bit more respect for it.
No, there's a. Let me put it this way: Zoe Kravitz or whatever, the director. I've seen her in like she's the Catwoman and Batman. She was. What else do you know her from? She was in Divergent. I don't know if you guys remember that
Wait, she
movie.
was the new Catwoman girl?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So the one that said the patriarchy.
Yeah, something to that effect. And that's what this movie felt like a little bit. It's like how
No,
women
this
get
feels
taken
like
advantage
I
of.
literally felt like I was living in Hollywood. That's like because that's what people do. Like I'm a little confused when people like I watched
Jordan's been
the
to one too many P. Diddy parties, let's just be honest, okay? Jordan? Not all of us have
no,
been to Epstein
but
Island like you
you,
have,
you
okay? It's
watch.
like, that's what people do. I see it
Yeah,
happening all the time.
but seriously, you even Disney made fun of it. They cut it from their movie. You can't watch it now because Disney cuts crap out of their
Toy
shows.
Story 2. Are you
But
talking
Toy
about
Story
Stinky
2,
Pete? Stinky Pete?
Stinky Pete, they turn it around, he's like, I can get you a part in Toy Story 3. And he's like, oh, I didn't know we were recording. And it's like everybody knows this crap like goes on with these rich, disgusting people. And like you
You
watch
mean to
the
tell me that men with a little bit of power in their hand, then they laud it over women for their personal gratification? I don't believe
see,
that's the
but that's the
thing.
thing. See, people act like that, and it's like, are you blind? Like, I just don't. I'm very confused because,
No, no,
like,
you just need to blink twice and your vision will come back.
no, like
Okay.
people that the saddest is the people that put their kids into shows like Nickelodeon, and I know they just like trust them, and it's like, no, never leave your kids alone with these creepers. Like,
And then their kids get slimed
and
more ways than one. Sorry.
no, stop,
Don't
stop.
read into what I just said,
There's
okay?
even worse things in relation to that tie.
Oh
Oh no,
no, oh
I'm aware.
jeez,
I'm aware. Dan
where
Schneider's
are we
just in the
going? I'm
corner,
sorry.
like,
No,
hey,
but
This
let
is
me
down the
but
fill
dark.
you.
I'm saying why do you think they use the color green?
I I don't know. I don't
Because it's
know.
rotten. It's just smelly.
Because green screen effect. What can you change it to look like?
Oh, nice. There
Oh,
you
okay.
go.
All right. Well,
Cool. What
I
I
feel
do
gross.
know is that no, one thing that did make me laugh is like the actual Nickelodeon logo was just a foot, which I thought was very funny. Given all the Dan Schneider all quiet on set, I'm like,
Didn't he
the
man?
guy had
He
a
has like
foot
a foot
fetish.
pool. Doesn't he have like a pool that's in the shape of a
Yes, but
foot?
it's just funny because
Yeah.
you're like, oh, why is it a foot? Like Nickelodeon, our whole image is about
Well,
feet.
I'm glad he gave us Good Burger before. So
Before he was a creep, or like during he was a creep. Because dude, when he played Ricky in
I'm just saying
freaking
before he got canceled or whatever. So
I'm glad he gave us these pieces of art that we can cherish. And every time I watch them, it doesn't put a bad taste in my mouth and make me think, oh, geez, dude, what happened to you? So, if you
get
guys
out of the
haven't
shake
noticed,
machine.
Okay, well,
yeah,
do we want to get into start talking about what we
yeah,
liked
we
or
probably should
what it
talk
was
about
like watching?
Blink
Or...
Twice. Exactly. Guys, we're reviewing Blink Twice. The movie came out in 2024. It stars so many people, but maybe I just think these are famous people, but
No,
a lot of these are like not so famous movie stars anymore.
well, yeah, it's fun because they're starting to make a comeback. It's
It's like the Comeback Kid movie, man. Okay, so
yeah.
it's got Naomi Aki, who's played the main character Frida, and it stars Channing Tatum, and it's got Alaya Shawkat. I love her from the Arrested Development show, Cousin Maybe. It's so fun to see her in movies. It's
Oh yeah,
got Christian
and
Slater
Green Room,
and Green Room, yeah. It's got Christian
Oh, okay.
Slater, Simon Rex,
which
Adria
yeah,
Arjona, and I'll tell you,
all
Adria Arjona, she's a she's a wonderful, just a wonderful person. Let's just
so
put it that
the
way.
it's
We got
fun though.
Haley Joel Osmond.
I think
Sorry, there's
Ty's name
just
is
so many people.
hot.
The
No, I was just saying she's a wonderful person. And of course it's got Kyle MacLachlan, who I freaking love from Twin Peaks. And he also had what was that movie I just saw him in? Oh, the show Fallout. Anyway, he's awesome. So, so many good people, so many good
Well, it's just
actors.
fun to see, like you said, some actors that like made an appearance like The Sixth Sense, disappeared forever, and then showed up in The Boys, and
Oh, and I
now he's
can't
in
fail to
this.
mention Gina Davis. Is that her name? Is it Gina Davis?
And,
No, Gina Davis. Yeah, Gina Davis. She plays like basically
and
the Ghislaine Maxwell character that's like aware of what's going on. She like orchestrates it all
I
and
wanted
carries
to
out the.
forget.
Yeah, you think I want to remember this? And then she's like, "Save me!" And she's like, "I already tried B." And I'm like, I don't think this matches anyway. That more I think about that one, I don't really care for. But and let's talk about the ending. Anyway, so we're gonna talk about Blink Twice. We're gonna be talking spoilers
well,
here,
just
folks.
really quick, I wanted to mention the two other actors that just like disappeared off the face of the earth, like
Yeah.
Christian Slater, True
Yes.
Romance. I thought he was
Sure.
gonna be like hot stuff, like gonna be the next big actor, and then he just like disappeared off the face of the earth, and then he
Sure.
showed up in the new season of Dexter, and then all of a sudden he's in this. I'm like, oh,
I know he's in Mr. Robot, yeah, and the new season of Dexter, yeah.
yeah. And then
And Heathers,
the other
yeah. He was
one,
everywhere in the 80s,
the
yeah.
other one is the guy from Scary Movie 3.
Yeah,
He's just
Simon
like,
Rex. Yeah, Simon
yeah, he
Rex. It's so funny to say
disappeared.
Scary Movie 3.
And then I love that he
We
showed
thought
back
he'd
up.
be famous. I thought
And
after
then,
Scary Movie 3, it's like, we made it, guys.
but then he showed up again in that director that did Florida
The
Project.
Florida Project, yeah.
He's not in the Florida Project, but he's in another film with him called Red Rocket. Anyways, and so it's just fun that he picked some really good indie films, and then he came in this, and I just like seeing these actors, like three actors that just like disappeared off the face of the earth, and like now they're just showing up, coming
Oh,
out of the
man.
woodworks.
All I can think of is his line. Yeah, I read your story about crop circles. Yeah, whatever. Oh my gosh. So good, dude. And then when he does the
Anniversary,
8 Mile
so funny.
parody where he's like in the bathroom, he throws up in the guy's lap. He's sitting on the bathroom stall, he kicks in the stall door and vomits all over this guy that's sitting there on this. Oh, it's so funny, dude.
I had a dream to have a dream. All right, sorry, Cameron, take it away.
Were we still doing Cameron's introduction?
Yeah,
Cameron,
do
tell us about this movie, Blink Twice, dude.
am I just getting straight into what I like or what was like watching it?
Let's
All of
get
the
into like what was I
above.
watching? Yeah, because you watched it and then you wanted us to watch it. So let's
Yeah,
hear it from you,
so
man.
I watched it like a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago. I had just seen it recommended from someone who said like Shutter Island is one of their favorite psychological thrillers and stuff like that. And so I was like, okay, I really enjoyed that. So
Shutter Island.
Shutter
yeah, I was
Island.
like, oh. And
Yes.
I
You had
like
my curiosity. Now you have my attention.
and I watched the trailer multiple times, so I kind of knew what it was like about, and I always was like about to watch it, but like the mixed reviews kept scaring me because I was like, it's like it kept getting like two or one and a half, or it was like, or people gave it really good reviews. So I was like, I don't really know what this is. Um, and so I finally just was like, okay, I'm just gonna watch it. And me and Allie were both like super impressed and like wowed by it. Um, and I loved every part of it except the ending. I thought the ending was a bit cheesy. It was kind
Go
of
ahead
like,
and eat your steak.
yeah, it just I was like, there's way too many moving pieces for this to logistically happen.
Does
Um,
Jordan understand the significance though? I gotta make sure Jordan understands that he doesn't eat steak and he's
Yeah.
vegan, but then she's like bossing him around and it's like, eat your steak. I just thought that was so funny. He's like, he's
but
eating his
which
steak.
is interesting because
So
Zoe Kravitz
funny.
even talked about it in an interview afterwards that she said that essentially the whole point of that scene is to show you like is she even the hero? But
Yeah,
like
she's making him
is
act
like
and do
she's
things
now
against his
becoming
will.
like just as bad as like Channing Tatum was because it's like you're literally like you've created a mind slave like
Yeah,
this person.
it does the what do you call it? The most dangerous game thing, where at the end, like you die a hero or live long enough to become the villain,
Yeah.
basically.
And
Yeah.
so, but then me and Ali watched like a 20-minute explainer just of all of the details of like hidden things that we missed. And like it just made me even get like greater appreciation for it. And because like when Slater walks into the room, he moves like a chess piece. It's so interesting. He moves like a knight. Um, and then there's like several like allusions to that, and because there's like a checkered floor on the bottom, there's just like so many different things and
Hmm.
details because Zoe Kravitz always talks about how she's such a like a cinephile, and she's like all me and Channing they were dating at the time when she made this, and she was like all we do
Oh,
all day is pretty much
interesting.
just watch movies, and she was like so I'm such a big fan of like so many movies, and I try to do homages and like
That's why I
like
thought the Red Rabbit felt very reminiscent of Red Rum. Because
yeah.
again, repeating it over and over, kind of scaring your character, it definitely had Shining vibes. But that's
Yeah.
Wait,
interesting
Channing
knowing
dated
that
the actress or the director?
He dated the
the director.
director.
Okay.
Which makes sense because I feel like Channing Tatum is like the most famous one out of this bunch, right? Because
Yeah.
everyone else feels like
Well,
obscure actors, even
and
though watching them was cool. But
I feel like it's a hard role to kind of take on. Like it's like, hey, do you want to play
it,
essentially Jeffrey Epstein? It's like,
yeah, do you want to play?
ah,
Yeah.
maybe. And so,
And then
but
he's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
but yeah, just overall, I thought it was like really enjoyable, and I just thought it was a really fun psychological thriller, and similar to kind of a Get Out. I liked all of to me, I think that's why it's something I want to go back and rewatch because similar to a Get Out, there's certain things that are said that you don't pick up on the first viewing, like black mold downstairs and things like that. That you're just like, okay, and just and like when she's like he doesn't need to give you his ID to the police officer, like things like that where you think the person's being like morally good, but in reality they're being like kind of sleazy and evil. I just kind of like that, and I just felt like it, like overall, was like wrapped up pretty well.
Yeah, to her credit, like for a debut, like a directing debut, I think she did a very good job, like tackling a lot of different things and the callbacks. I just feel like it almost feels a little convoluted just in a few times where I'm like, the memory loss thing kind of lost me a little bit, only because not because I couldn't understand it, but I was like, there does seem to be some inconvenience here where it's like, well, you don't remember trauma, but you don't remember people being there. Like it was a little inconsistent. And then like anyway, but it's that's like me. The more I think about it, I like it less. But I did like so many of the things, like other homages to other films. It felt very reminiscent of like Get Out meets like uh my other review. I just decided not to put this in because I'm like it sounds insensitive, but I was like Zoe Kravitz almost called this movie Pussy Island, and I'm like I'm glad she didn't name it that, but that was the other title for this movie, and I'm like, my title for this movie is going to be Groundhog Day for Roofied Women, but that also
That's
doesn't have a really good
crazy.
rank. But anyway, just an insane title for a movie. But
Well,
then she changed it to Blink Twice,
the
which
reason they actually changed it to Blink Twice was because all like they sent out like marketing surveys, and the people that were the most bothered by it were actually women, which was interesting. And that was why she was kind of like, oh, that's actually really surprising that women were the most bothered by the title. And so that was why they ended up like changing it to Blink Twice.
Well, I mean, I don't think men would be bothered going there, you know? Be like,
Yeah, don't you remember,
sounds
Cameron?
like a good family fun. Let's bring the whole
There's
family.
literally a 007 movie called Octopussy.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And the character's named Pussy Galore, and I'm like, man, where are the good days gone? Am I right, guys? All right, let's go, everybody. No, anyway, yeah, no, it's funny that you say that, Cameron, because I'm like, yeah, of course women were bothered by it, but I was also like, can you see Channing Tatum? If he invited me, I don't care what the island's called. I'd be like, yeah, I'm going with your rich millionaire friends, gonna enjoy the island,
Yeah.
and then I'd be like, oh no, now I'm here. And I don't even know what day it is anymore. So that's again, the more I start thinking
Well,
about this, the less I like this movie. But
interesting.
um,
For me,
yeah,
it's
let's
actually
get
the
into two favorite
Amherst.
things first, though. Yeah. So
You
Cameron,
don't, you guys don't want to talk about first viewing?
oh yeah, yeah. So first viewing, I did enjoy the callback. So kind of just talking about it as her first debut, I think she did a really good job because I think I can't imagine all the moving parts and being an actor and then going right into directing. That's pretty ambitious, I think. Like sometimes you'll get a writing credit first or even a producing credit, but then just to go right into directing your first movie and releasing it. And for all intents and purposes, I think it had a lot of good callbacks. I think it was competently made. I just think that there was a few glaring potholes. I think that they could have punched this up because I feel like this movie could have been like on par with a few punch ups, like on par with something like Get Out. But I feel like ultimately it feels cheapened and it's gonna just kind of fall under Bodies meets, you know, a less
Interesting.
successful version of Get Out. So I just feel like it could have really been much more timeless than it was. Because, or like even the menu, right? I like the menu, and I think this kind of has a lot of similarities to that too. So anyway, um, but yeah, for a first directing debut, I would love to make a movie this competent as my first as a first go around. So Jordan, what about you? Two of your favorite things?
Um, it was really funny as I was watching it. I was like, "Oh yeah, Cameron would love this." Just every time there's like something weird going on, which I agree that is, it's a fun.
Why are we
Um,
running?
yeah, there's some great moments when they're like making those weird sounds and running through the forest. I like that. I felt like I was like watching a coven group of witches making their weird sounds, getting high.
What?
You don't remember the scene where all of a sudden it
Yeah,
cuts to
they're
them in
all
the dark and they're like,
running.
and
Yeah,
they're
out
like
of
making
context, you don't know
sounds and
what's
stuff.
going on. They're all
Yeah.
kind of like running
Yeah,
through the
yeah.
forest, and they're all on substances. Yeah.
But just lots of moments that I'm like, oh, Cameron's gonna be losing his mind right now because this
Yeah.
is, yeah, like you said, it did remind me of Get Out. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's I'd say half I'm I'm really bummed because like half I really did enjoy and I'm like, oh, okay, I do appreciate what you guys mentioned. She put a lot of attention to detail, and so there was a lot that I enjoyed about it. But then there was other stuff that just like I really have a hard time caring about anyone except her friend. Her friend is the only like decent person. I don't know if you
Are
want to
you
get
talking
into
about the TV star, or are you talking about Cousin Maybe from Arrested Development that goes
Arrested
missing?
Development girl. She was the only one that like uh was like,
Jess.
yeah, after she had been bitten, like her friend should have been like, okay, yeah, it's understandable you want to go home. But instead she's like,
No, she's like,
I want to have fun. And then she says she's like, okay. And so she's like a good, like an insanely good friend decides to stay and then she gets killed for it. So spoilers. But it's just like who are we rooting for? Because all these girls like are the worst. Sorry. I don't wish any of this horrible stuff upon anybody because it's awful, but
Jordan's like,
I just
they're
didn't
so bad
care.
because they do immoral things like
No,
do
but seriously,
drugs.
no, I just don't connect with people that are like so obsessed with like money and fame and like like I think I do enjoy that if like it eventually comes to a head where it's like I mean, which it did, I guess. I don't know. I just didn't care for these people
I'll
at
I'll give it
all.
to you, Jordan. Like there is like at the end, it threw me for a loop because just when I thought I was rooting for somebody, because I actually really started rooting for one girl that surprised me was Adria Arjona. I mentioned her before, and I was like, she did great because not only is she's just a wonderful person, I'm sure, but like her character is
She
a
was
great arc. Like it's a
Nice
great
that
arc.
legally
okay,
allowed
yeah.
to say that she's
She kind of feels
attractive
like
or something.
it was a misdirect. Wait, what was that, Cameron?
So you're like legally not allowed to say that she's attractive.
No, I'm just thinking she's just an absolute wonderful person through and through.
But
Uh,
yeah, she was like the
I know, I don't know why
worst.
I'm acting
But
so weird about it. I'm like, let me just say she is
Yeah,
fine. And
yeah,
I've been
you're
avoiding
like
this the
trying
whole
not to
time.
be weird, but like by prolonging it is making it weirder.
I know,
she,
I know.
I just don't connect with this younger generation. Like they just want to get high, have lots of money, and do nothing. And so all the whole time I'm just like, get a job. Like, oh my gosh, like I just don't connect to this younger
That's
generation.
Jordan's takeaway from Epstein Island. These people need to get a job.
Yeah, he's
It's
like,
just
they deserve to be here. They got what was coming to them. Jordan said
Seriously.
the same thing about Smile too,
I mean,
Cameron. Jordan can't
you
stand
are
it because
talking
it's
to a
about a
person who
famous.
I do love slasher flicks. It's like,
Yeah,
yes, kill
you
the
hate the teens.
sinners.
Yeah, yeah. Kill the sinners.
Yeah, Jordan's John Doe in real life.
Oh
Yes.
man.
He's like, why? So some smutty person can get back on the
Just
streets.
I'm waiting for Terrifier to show up. Just start cutting them to pieces. Uh,
Jordan's carrying that sort of justice, all right. Started swinging around, cutting people's heads off. Jeez. Jordan's like, have you seen the filth of this city? Oh,
where's Batman coming
where's
in,
Batman?
taking care of the
It's
slime?
so funny. No, so I'll throw it out there. I think, I almost wish they would
Wait, are
have
we
had
getting
the.
to gripes? Can I do my two
Oh yeah, yeah. Let's yeah
things
finish
first?
your two favorite things. Sorry, Kim.
I think to me, like I've kind of sort of mentioned it, but I think just the attention to detail and the specific things that are in the callback that I think like makes a second viewing more enjoyable. And I think for psychological thrillers, that's really important. That's why like ones like It Comes at Night, and things like that. I
He
think
just
they,
came out with a new movie. Did you know that?
well, I didn't know that.
It
Yeah.
comes at night.
Um,
Is it as controversial? Does it have ambiguous endings? Because we could fight
because
about it here on
I
the
just think
pod.
see, because to me I think that's such a skill. The fact that we could have a fight over it, I
Yeah,
think is a skill.
very thought-provoking movie. Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of like in the details that could be interpreted multiple ways, like close your eyes, and just like in It Comes at Night, and it's like, oh, he could just be saying that because his child he doesn't want his child to see something traumatic, or that's how those things are manifested. So just things like that I thought were also like really interesting, like the why are we running, and like all these things that later on you're like, holy crap. Um, and I just thought like overall was just very enjoyable. And then I think the second thing that is probably my favorite part is I think it was almost believable to me, and because I feel like Channing Tatum like and all of the guys felt invincible. I think that's why he was also naturally less suspicious, which led to his downfall. And I think that's kind of what I liked is I think his arrogance that he's like, I could bring this chick back for a second time. Like, why would I have to worry about her snooping around? Like, he wasn't like, hey, where have you been this whole time? Like, he does not care because he's like, even if this chick like was snooping around and found something, she's not going to remember anything. She came back to my island after being here last year.
Well,
So
he
Yeah.
kind of resisted though. It was interesting because he walked away from her, remember, and then he came back. I think he's like, yeah, you know what? I want to bring her back. He and she was. What was interesting to me is that she was drawn to him. She
uh-huh.
like,
Well, see, so that's why to me I think it makes it even more believable that it like that the trauma block because it's like I feel like I have connection to that person, but if you
Mm,
because if you only know that person in that scenario, I think that's why it's easier to block out that relationship. I do get that tie where it's like, oh well, how would you just forget a person? But I feel like majority of trauma is like from a parent or a sibling or a partner, and so it's like that you know, like there's good times aside from that. Whereas
mm.
this is like the only circumstances in which you know the person. So if that was traumatic, you
I
would
could
just
see
block
that.
out the whole time. And so that's why to
Right.
me, okay, that's decently believable. That's why I feel like they took a little bit a step too far with the believability of like, I'm just going to brainwash him into I'm now CEO. And I'm like, but what about
Right.
every
And
single
that,
person who's not on the island?
yeah, exactly. They literally went so far the other direction, but also being like, again, I must have missed where they talked about where she's so competent that she can run a company. Like this is Channing Tatum's company. It's like, oh, and our new CEO, you lady, women
It had
empowerment. I'm
the
like, what?
girl
Does
with
she
the
have
dragon
any skill?
tattoo ending where it was just
No, but
like,
like, does she have any skill set of running a company? Like, I don't know. And that's me being like,
Wait, how is
now
it
I'm
the
worried
girl with the
about,
dragon
now
tattoo?
I'm worried about the company.
what?
How is it the girl with the dragon tattoo ending?
Well, I just meant like all of a sudden, like, because the movie was about her trying to help find the serial killer, but then at the end, she was like, all of a sudden, take all this billionaires' money, and
Yeah,
like,
and it's like, oh
she's like
no,
a
you're
spy now.
heartbroken because
Or
you
even like
don't have
Glass Onion,
love, and I'm
where
like, when would this become about her, bro?
or even Ryan Johnson's Glass Onion sequel to Knives Out. If you haven't seen it, I'm going to spoil it. But the burning the Mona Lisa at the end, which annoyed me so much because it's like, we're going to get back at this man. And that's like really satisfying for us. And I'm like, is it though? Like, are women this spiteful? And I'm like, yeah, they can be. But then I'm like, not all women are like this. Then I'm like, what about like being like part of a character growth is like being the better man, right? Like, I mean, Count of Monte Cristo deals with this. The movie kind of skips over his like realizing that redemption is like far
No
more
time.
important
He
than getting
realized that
revenge
after he completed his
after
revenge.
he finished his revenge. No, no. And I understand the book did it better. And a lot of other movies and books adapted from movies, it's the last 5 minutes of the movie because it's the character finally
And
realizing at the end.
and
But
Count Mondego, I know I've ruined your life and taken your girl and taking your son and all your finances,
and I
but
got everything I ever wanted,
let's end
but
in
I
peace.
didn't need to do all that. Yeah. But I can rest easy knowing that I did
I
it.
just it was really weird too at the end to feel like worried about her at all because like first I didn't care, but second what's interesting is she's like all of a sudden I'm a bad A and her and her friend are like walking in slow motion. They're doing the Avengers thing, all the women, yeah, we're women power. And then when they get there, all of a sudden she's like and then she's strong again, and then she's like you're gonna hurt me, and it's like. So are you strong or are you weak? I'm a little confused because it just like kept like I don't know. It wasn't.
I'll agree with the fact that it's like all the women are running terrified and it's like they weren't empowered then. And then like when they realize what's happening, I'm like in that moment they knew what's happening, they could have fought back, but they were just running away. And now they're like, well, we know what's going on. And I guess you could argue that they're going in armed, like with a knife, with a cork bottle opener or whatever. And I'm like, but now they're like just gonna face these men head on. I'm like, even if you went at a man with a knife, like Channing Tatum, he would subdue one of those women so quickly. And I guess they kind of addressed that. Anyway, those kinds of things bothered me because then it was like, oh, Channing Tatum conveniently fell and hit his head. Now he's incapacitated. And it's like, whew, that's close because there's no world in which an altercation between any of those women there could subdue someone like Channing Tatum. These are the kinds of things that take me out of the movie. I know that sounds stupid and superficial, but then like again, I'm like, you mentioned Cameron about like cousin maybe. I'm just gonna call her cousin maybe. The girl from Arrested Development. The friend goes missing. Jess, her character. She goes missing, and everyone else is like, "Who's Jess?" They don't even have any recollection of her. But I'm like, again, it's like, so they have no recollection of her even being there, not just her traumatic event. But then I'm like, but she knows that she was there. So I'm like, that's the inconsistency that bothers me
No,
because it's like
see, but that
she
even builds
knows her
into
friend
further what I'm
exists.
saying is
Oh,
because
okay.
she has the connection to her before the island.
I understand that. But how would she know that she came to the island if the other girls had no recollection of this person? Because then they basically, let's just use the same logic. They have no recollection of her being on the island. So why does she have recollection of her being on the island? That's my point.
Well, I think
Because she knows her friend exists. She doesn't
because they
lose.
came together.
Yeah, but they came together with all the other women too, and they all thought they knew each other. I thought that was the best part, was like, oh,
Yeah.
we all thought you knew each other. I'm like, I like how they set up where this seemed believable. Like I said, there's a lot I do like, but like I said, the more I think about it, the less I do like it. Like I said, at the end, it becomes this catch-all where it's like, I can now dupe you into being my mind slave, um, and I can take over your company and I can make you eat red meat. Like it's insane. Like it literally goes full bore. And he's sitting there, he's like, "Yeah," and he's like eating, eat your meat. He's just this lame, impotent man. And I get it if you're like, that's good for revenge and it feels good. But I'm like, no justice for the other characters. Like we didn't see any of their arcs. Like I guess this was really just her movie, but like anyway, like the other actor that you first you dislike, the TV personality played by Adria. like I kept thinking like, oh, she's like jealous of her, and she was, but then like it's revealed like she's like, oh, I thought something was off too, and I was trying to figure out what it is. They both kind of remember together. But yeah, and then like Jordan
Well, that's what
mentioned
I like
like
is because I feel like
girl
the lighter
boss,
triggered
terrified.
that for her.
What's that?
I think that's what the lighter triggers that for her because she recognizes like, okay, you're talking about this person no one else can remember, but there's literally physical proof that
Right, but even then, it's like I could have borrowed this later from Jess before coming. Anyway, see that again. I'm just saying, like, there's moments where I'm like, I thought it was well conceived and like really good ideas, but then like I'm also like, so they put the perfume on. Uh, it's just on the skin that it makes them forget because the men were very close quarters, probably would have smelt it, but I guess they're not affected by it. But then literally it's in the plot where he vapes it and then experiences it. So I'm like, so you
Well,
inhaled it versus
there's
the
drugs
no,
that
no,
feel.
no, no,
like
no. So what he's vaping is that's the thing is all the guys are smoking the anti-venom or they're all smoking like the
The
essentially the
venom.
antidote the venom which is the antidote to the pheromone. So that or to like to
So
the
they start remembering all the horrific things they've done, right?
no, yeah,
Or
so the guys are always doing that because otherwise they would forget.
wait, I'm confused though. Why did he start freaking out when he saw his friends? Was that all an act? Like, I don't understand. He was like, "Oh, dead bodies everywhere. What's happening?" What? I didn't get
see,
that. Was he?
that's what I was thinking, Cameron. I
I
was
was.
thinking for the first time, she slips him what I thought was, nah, hang on a second. She
Yeah,
slips him
she gives them the
forgetful stuff.
forgetting.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And so
Yeah.
that's the
She
thing is
gives him the
see,
forgetful.
the thing is, it's essentially it's like there's pollen the entire time they're on the island because all these women are constantly spraying on themselves, and
Yeah.
all of these guys are taking an allergy pill every single day. And so this is the first time that she just sprays him with pollen and doesn't give him the allergy pill. And so
Right.
then that's when he starts to experience the side effects because that's the whole thing is that's why
So he's
she
I
takes
know
a
it.
hit of his thing and
Right.
that's why she starts because he left that for her because he wanted to see that's why I thought it was cool too was because he's literally testing her when he's doing that is because he's seeing can you remember and that's why he lets her hit essentially the antidote to remember everything and she still can't remember that's why he's like mind blown, and that's why he was weird when she was like, "Oh, this is my company, like Anna Males," and then that's why he just is staring there because he's like he wanted to see if she
Oh
remembered
shit.
that she'd
Okay.
already
So he was
told him.
testing her. So that's
Uh-huh.
the beginning, but still at the end, I'm with Jordan where it's like, oh my friends, why is it like I almost thought that in my opinion, this is me thinking out loud. I almost would have enjoyed it if they gave the doctor who plays the doctor, the guy from Fallout, Kyle MacLachlan. I almost liked it if the doctor would have been poisoning the men, and he's like, I'm treating them through their trauma, and so like every time they do something horrendous, the doctor was making them forget.
Interesting.
That's what I thought the twist was going to be.
Yeah,
And
I
not
thought that
that it
too.
excuses his behavior, but it's almost like, oh, because at the very beginning, he admits his fault, right? And he goes, there's only so many times I could say I'm sorry. And I kept thinking it's going to get revealed that Channing Tatum doesn't remember these events. So he keeps apologizing, but he doesn't remember doing it. So he feels conflicted because he's like, I say I'm sorry, but it doesn't matter how many times I apologize. I don't even remember doing it, which I thought the twist was going to be. Now, again, I'm not saying it would have been a better movie with my twist, but I am thinking like I almost think that the reveal with her giving him the to give him the venom to cause him to remember the horrific things he's done, to give him a chance to self-sacrifice and kill the doctor. Does that make sense? That
Yeah.
was almost how I'd write this story, but I'm not saying it would have been better because then you got to consider other types of things, right? Because then it's like, so he's being repressed and forgetting. Because again, Kyle Lachlan and all the other characters, they're all horrendous people that engage in this. But then, like, the one younger, feminine boy there, he didn't seem to get off on any of this stuff. And he was terrified by it and mortified that they were doing it. So I'm like, is he being repressed? Like, they never address any of it. They just almost skim over it. And I'm okay with a little bit of ambiguity. But, like I said, I feel like even just punching it up, because the movie was only, what was it? It was only like an hour and 30, right? Hour 42. I almost was like, if you gave it like another 7 minutes and you punched up just a few more things, an hour and 50, this may have been like a really, really well fleshed out masterpiece that people would really dive their teeth into. But now I feel like when we do and we pick it apart, it doesn't stand on two legs because like I don't know. I get disappointed the more and more I
To
talk
me, I
about it, but
think both of you are just a little bit too much of expecting like reality. Like you're going into fantasy expecting reality, which I
yeah.
get, but to me, I'm like they're going and
I
plus
guess I guess the one thing I will defend though is the fact that this movie came out when like the P. Diddy trial is on, the Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, like this is all very
for sure.
prevalent. Yeah. So like when
No,
you said
but I'm
reality, I'm
just
like,
saying
this
it's
literally
similar
did
to Shutter
happen.
Island. Like Shutter Island is talking
Sure.
about like something
Sure.
like that, but it's like would an entire island get in on one patient's like
Hmm.
thing? It's so
Delusions.
to
Yeah.
me that's why I'm like that is very illogical and unfeasible. But that's to me
Hmm.
like you like the suspension of disbelief is kind of that's what I like about
Hmm.
psychological thrillers is you just kind of accept like okay, this is pretty much almost impossible.
Yeah.
Um,
But even you said like at the end it just almost dials it to 11 because like I don't mind them forgetting the trauma. I'm actually okay with that. I just thought there should be a little bit more consistency. But that being said, because I liked there's a great scene where they're running through the forest and like what are we running from? And then like they keep looking at their nails and they're all dirty. Oh, I was hoping that they were like trying to dig up a body or they were locked in a cellar each night or something like that and they were trying to dig their way out. I wanted the great escape. There were so many other movies I
See,
wanted, but there was really
how
good.
did you not like it? The fact that they were literally being dragged to be raped. Like I feel
Uh,
like that is a great reveal too. Like that's a great reveal too. Like that's why there's dirt under your nails is because you're literally clawing for your life.
I guess there was no doubt in my mind that that's what it was gonna be, but I don't know why it bothered me because
Well,
like part of
and
me, yeah.
you knew what it was going to be because there was a disclaimer at the beginning that spoiled it. Uh,
And that's like men use their position of power, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that actually didn't do it any favors. I think maybe putting the disclaimer at the end, but then again,
well,
like
no,
we live
because
in
it
this
talked about
hypersensitive
women
time.
having sexual abuse, and I was like, oh, okay, so
But see, that's the other thing too. Okay, so again, picking this further apart, women of sexual abuse. Like there are other signs, and they never address any of those signs of abuse because they're like, "Oh, I got like this bruise on my arm," and it's like there'd be much more disturbing signs that you had been physically assaulted. That the movie didn't go into. And again, I'm like, it's rated R. Like I don't. It's like you either talk about these things or don't. So anyway, so that's because he literally says like the more traumatic it is, the more they'll forget. Like it's like holy crap. So like so these were depraved people doing
See,
depraved
but
acts, and
that's
like
what
there's no indication. The girls have nothing but dirt under their nails and like a bruise every once in a while. I'm like
see,
they
but
would be battered and bruised and
that's valid. But I think that's
yeah,
also part of the reason why they're always being drugged and like and
true.
drinking is because then you're never like fully aware of your body, fully aware of your
Right, but even
surroundings.
then, like you would see a shiner, you would see.
why
Anyway,
why do
maybe
they
not.
even need to abuse these women? Like
They all seem like they're all
all
game
the
for
women
anything,
wanted
drugs,
them
sex, and everything.
anyways.
Yeah,
So it's
I
just
know.
like
I
Well, see,
agree.
but
I
that well,
almost
no,
wished it was.
that's the thing. That's what to me I think is funny is you guys are like, well, why would they do that? Is the whole point I think of the entire movie is that these people have done this. This isn't their first rodeo.
Right. They
This
do
is
this
like the hundredth time they've
repeatedly.
probably
Yeah.
done this, and so
Right.
it gets to a point where it's probably like not even enjoyable for them anymore because they're so
Right. Right.
desensitized to it that they're like, okay, well, it needs to be rape for it to be more enjoyable to me. That's why I think this is like so interesting is because it shows essentially that these people are so depraved that they're like, let's create like a scenario. It reminds me of like the greatest like game, like kind of like hunting. It's like, oh, like I don't want to hunt animals anymore. It's too
The
easy. I'm
most
too good at
dangerous game.
hunting
Yeah.
animals. Yeah. I want to hunt a human. So like to me, it's kind of that vibe where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I've already got my
Oh,
fill of like I can get any woman I want
right.
because of my money, but it's like now I want to like have power over these people's minds and do whatever I want with no consequences. That's why to me I think it shows how far down these like the path these people are.
See, and that's what I'm saying. Like, as such a talented actor like Channing Tatum, give him that role where it's more fleshed out. He just felt so one-dimensional at the end, where he's like apologizing, and I'm like, is he really sorry? Does he remember the trauma? Because at the end, then he's like, oh, my friend is dead. What's going on? Like, I'm like, what
we're
is
supposed to believe
happening?
he
And
was abused too, right? Because that's what he was talking about. I just want to make sure I
yeah, he
understood.
says early on, he's like, oh, when I was
Okay.
younger, he mentioned something about being 15 or
Yeah, he's
something
like,
like
I
that, or a
forgot.
child or
He's like, I
something. Yeah.
can't remember.
I
It must
can't
have been
remember
really
anything
messed up.
beyond before I was 10 or something. Yeah, so it
Yeah.
must have been really messed up. So it's like, oh, abuse people, you know? Hurt people. Again, that's why I feel like the
That
show almost pulled its punches because I'm like, I almost would have enjoyed a character arc where there is this dumb evil doctor that is doing this
See,
because
but see,
what's
but
his
to me that
motive other than like, okay, he's seeking the carnal pleasures. Great. Everyone else on this island is doing the same. And again, it's like,
See, but that's valid. But I feel like that then
yeah,
it's too like one dimensional where it's like, oh, this is the one bad guy orchestrating it all. But I think that is what is kind of the overall message is like this. It's not about one person doing this evil. It's like this is about this industry and this system
I
that
agree.
is creating the
They
evil.
made a really good point with the guy. I wish it was more fleshed out, but he was like, "Oh, you do nothing. Like you watch all this horrific stuff happen, but because you didn't participate, you feel like you're off the hook, but you watched it happen and did nothing." And I thought that was very clear, and that was fine because I like that kid's character being immobile, kind of like the Saving Private Ryan
I
soldier,
thought
right?
he
You're like,
was
just
being
do it.
abused too, but I guess not. No.
I thought he was too, or something. But anyway, I don't know. Like, was his memory getting wiped every day? He was sitting there weeping and crying. So I'm like, he it very well could have been abused, but again, he chose to do nothing. And then he's like, why don't you go do something? And then the moment he gets up to do something, he gets immediately blown away. And then I was like, so should you not do anything? Or is it too late to get
Well, see, but like
repentance?
that's
Yeah,
I don't know.
like
That's why to me,
redemption.
that's why
Yeah.
this I feel like this reminds me of Get Out because I feel like this
Mhm.
is the same believability of Get Out. Like Get Out, you're convincing me that like a person spinning a spoon on a teacup and then tapping me can send me to a place where a sunken place. Like
Yeah.
just because it has a cool visual doesn't mean that it's very believable. That's why I just think it's interesting that you guys are like, oh, it's so much different than Get Out because I'm like, I feel like they're the same level of believability, like a perfume that makes you like.
I didn't say it wasn't like Get Out. I think it
Um,
is like
Yeah.
Get Out. I don't
And keep
love
it.
Get Out as much as you guys do. So
Yeah.
and
No,
that's why to me I'm like they're both you have to like suspend a little that
and
like
I know what you're talking
disbelief.
about suspending disbelief, but it's like, okay, let me give you an example. The very beginning, no, again, even just to address these, because even if you address it, it makes it so much more believable. But like you mentioned attention to detail. So I'm going to give you a few details that I think really hurt this movie. So at the very beginning, you have a boss that's completely on the main character's butt, right? He's like, "Where are you? You're late. You need to be out there serving drinks, being polite." And then like halfway through the evening or event, they're just like done serving drinks and then like they put on dresses and they go out and attend this event that they were working at. And I don't
Well,
know,
well,
maybe
do you
that's
get
how
that
bougie
tight? Do you
Hollywood's
get that
events.
because he said he was like last year you were super chatty with him because that was how she got to the island. So that was why the
Right.
boss was super strict was because apparently she's probably like someone who struggles to be late but is usually a good worker. And then this was one of those times that she was over the top super chatty with one of the people which you're not supposed to be. And he's like that's why you need to be invisible versus
And
that
then
that's
literally like the next scene is like walking toward him, trips over something, breaks a bunch of glass, makes a whole scene of it, and like the boss is nowhere to be found. And let's just assume she doesn't have to work for who knows how long they're on the island. But like, and again, this is like nitpicking, but I'm just like, this boss reported missing person. She didn't show up for work the next few days. Again, could they find her in time? I don't know. But it's like, where was she last seen? Well, she was talking to the rich millionaire. Again, I'm just saying, like these are little things that I pick up on because all they would have had to do is have the scene where the boss comes out, but then Channing Tatum says it's fine or whatever, right? Like, like somebody in charge tells the other manager to go away. Did we lose Jordan?
Yeah, I don't feel like it's that unbelievable that like the
No.
boss wouldn't see her in a giant party like that, especially if he's most likely in the back working with the waiters.
Eh, no. I mean, again,
See, I feel like that's
I've
just
never been
pretty
to an event where
nitpicky.
like the staff just like chill and sit down. Like, could you imagine being at a wedding and someone that's like waiting on you getting drinks and then like just sits down and is like, "Oh, let's party, Mazel Tov," and gets a drink? I'd be like, give me a drink. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're not here to party. Like, you don't know this
Well,
family. This
that was
isn't
the
your
whole point.
event.
That was the whole point of the dress change. It was because they were trying to blend in as if they weren't a
I
server.
understand the reasons they did it. I'm just saying I don't believe that they would get away with it. Not a chance. That's all I'm saying. So right there, I'm like, this
Well,
is
I feel
already
like
very
they
unbelievable.
didn't really get away with it until Channing Tatum came up to her. That's the whole point. Is I think they would have totally got exposed, but then if the
Well,
person who's
right.
like essentially
Because there was
hosting the
literally a guy there that was like, you ladies aren't supposed to be here. And then they're like, oh, move away, moving away. Like, again, I'm just saying, that failed on that front because now it's like they literally had access to this famous billionaire and it's like there's no security except the guy that is security, but again it's like they had a relationship from the time before. She's drawn to him but she doesn't remember anything about him or the island or anything.
he didn't
So
say you
again it's
shouldn't
like,
be here. He just said you can't be in this area because it's a VIP section or something.
sure, sure,
Sure.
no,
Hey,
that's fine.
Cameron, I do. I am
Yeah.
glad you mentioned really quick, Cameron, that at the very beginning, uh, that well, just the idea that she's kind of drawn to him because that does help me not dislike her as much because I do like the idea that the reason she's drawn to her is because I mean drawn to him is because she knows him and it's not just she's like I want to be
She's
with a popular
some of the
person.
yeah, some of the memories have
Because
been
to me,
blocked.
it's
Valid.
deja vu, and like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it even feels like, like how do you explain abuse victims going back to their abusive
Mm.
partners, right?
Oh yeah,
Because
she even mentions that early
that
on.
they're
She's
they're able
like,
to repress
"Why
and
do you go back to your
compartmentalize
boyfriend?"
yes, yeah. Yes, that's exactly what she mentions. Like, why do you choose to go back to him? Respect yourself. And she says that so directly. And you're like, and that's why I thought that was a good character arc because again, she's like, why would you put up with that? And then because of her memory loss, she's willing to put up with Channing Tatum in spite of how charming he is and everything. All the trauma was forgotten. And again, I'm okay with magic perfume. I just didn't know it didn't work equally. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
no, it
Notice
doesn't
the
work. That's
teacup.
what's so fun. I just think it's so funny. You're like, it doesn't work equally. If every single one of the men are taking the anti venom, that's the funny thing is literally the guys remember everything, and then the girls, the moment they take the venom, and like
So
the
that's interesting. I honestly didn't even pick up on that they're constantly taking
because if you
venom,
look
right?
if you
Are they
look at
taking the
it,
venom or are they taking anti-venom? What are they taking?
so
They're not,
the venom is the antivirus to the
yeah.
forgetting.
Yeah, so
So
they're taking venom constantly? Yeah, so they're not affected by the perfume because they're taking venom. That's a good catch right there. I like that. But then she gives him the forgetful stuff, and why does he behave the way he does? Is it because
well,
he's forgetting how evil he is and
Well,
he's
if you
like
think about it, like even though
horrified?
he's evil, it's probably
Yeah.
still traumatic to kill and rape people. And so I think maybe that is
No, no,
just
but she gives him the forgetful stuff, doesn't she?
yeah.
So why is he freaking out then? Because he's starting to forget the stuff he's done, or does that make sense?
How
Because
far back
he's
does it go
supposed
is what I want to know. Like,
Well,
because
that's what I feel like it's
all
not like
trauma.
it's not like I feel like super exact because that's
Right,
and
right.
see to me that's the teacup. It's like how can a person think that they were in a dream like when they get sent to the sunken place? Like when does the
Hmm.
sunken because it like they cut it really well in Get Out where it's like okay Daniel Kaluuya goes from like falling to waking up out of bed, but it's like does Daniel Kaluuya in the sunken place not see them put him in the bed and then remember oh you
Right.
put me in
Wake
this
up.
bed?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so to me, I just think it's things like that where it's like you just got to suspend a little bit of disbelief because, like
I'm okay. I'm okay with
because the
disbelief.
guys are, if you notice,
Yeah.
the guys are, I'm pretty sure, are the only ones that are smoking, off like the pipe the entire time. You never, and that's why he gives
Got
it
it.
to her to see if that's why he's testing it because he's like,
That's
you've been here
interesting.
before. He gives it to her to see. He's like, not only do you have this like
Yeah.
trauma, you have an
Yeah.
entire year ago trauma, and then he was trying to see if it worked or if
Nothing
she
happened.
remembered
Yeah.
anything, and it was nothing, and that was why he was like,
But at
wow.
that point, when he offers it a second, now I want to go back and rewatch it only for the fact that when he offers it a second time, he's watching her reaction, and she is already starting to remember, right? Because she's trying to play cool, right?
Yeah,
There's that scene.
it's like
What
kind
was
of
he giving
flashes.
her?
It's kind of flashes to her, and she doesn't really understand what's going on, and she's like,
Yeah.
because that's when she's like just remembering the knife and things like that, and she's kind of
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what's going on?
I'll let me give a few other shout outs. I enjoy one, the title, quick flash of it. I thought that was it's cute.
if
It's
you blink, you
cute.
miss it. Yeah,
Yeah, blink and you miss it, and I'm like, that's good. Blink twice and you
I
miss it,
like
right?
that
Like
too.
the title
Yeah,
flashes
the
on the
first
screen.
hour was pretty solid.
Very good.
Yeah.
See,
Even
but
like just the chameleon, like seeming innocuous, but it's like, oh, this chameleon was at the scene of this very traumatic scene for our protagonist. So I thought, again, very cleverly done.
and Ty, another detail that's kind of cool too is that's
Mm,
why I don't. You were like, oh, they would have gotten caught because everyone would have been like, who are you? You were a server. The reason no people weren't reacting that way is because they're like, oh my gosh, you're trying to come back to the island again and you don't remember. Because all of those people were most likely the people that were there the year before. And so that's why when they're getting
yeah.
introduced, all of them are kind of like, you don't remember?
Yeah, I could see how again, my gripe was more of the staff that works there. It has nothing to do with the people that go to the island. But no, and I hear what you're saying, but I'm okay with that. Like I said, these were just things that took me out of the movie that I was like, oh, they
Which is
just spent a
valid.
little bit more time. I feel like they could have addressed very quickly with just a few scenes of dialogue or whatever. Because again, I kept thinking there's going to be that scene where the character gets discovered as a fraud. Like there's literally that scene in every movie. Everyone knows what I'm talking about where Princess Jasmine, oh, you're actually a princess. Oh, Aladdin, you're actually a street rat or whatever it is. It's like, people realize these are servers, and then they're just there at the party. And again, it's revealed later that the people, yeah, they actually have this running relationship to them. But it's like, I guess they're willing to go back to the same caterers, and they've invited these girls before. I'm interested to know if they brought other people. Because anyway, I liked also like, how did you get the scar? Doesn't he ask her that, right? He asked her like, how did you get the scar? He's
He,
testing her.
See, yeah, well,
He's
he
not
asked her
interested.
that.
He's just
He asked
asking
her
her
that
because he caused the scar.
after giving her the vape. That's what's
Yeah.
interesting is he gives it to her, and
So
then he asks, he
gives it
says,
to her,
"How'd you
and
get
then
that
almost
scar?"
challenges her. Yeah.
And then
Why
she's
does that
like,
make me think of the Dark Knight? How do you think I got
Do
these scars?
you want to know how I got these scars? And then lastly, I will say, yeah, for some reason it kind of bothered me a little bit when it's like the women were running around terrified of the men, and then like when they started to realize things, they're like, we're not afraid no more, and like they're just like hacking at the men. I don't know why it bothered me just a little bit because I'm like, did these men forget how to overpower these women? Again, maybe if the substances or whatever the circumstances were right. I almost wish that they would have intoxicated the men or derived something more in keeping with what they had available. So again, they had the knife, they had
"Well,
the
that's
corkscrew.
valid." But also, like a lot
Yeah,
of the
it's
times,
like
I feel like,
we remember now, so now we're more competent and we're more bad A and we're
well, I
empowered
feel like
women. We're gonna
they're
kill you
obviously
now. It just
I feel like
felt crazy.
they're obviously more competent when they like are aware now because now like you know that the people that you're with there are raping
Or,
you.
yeah,
So
our
like I'm
monsters.
like that
So
naturally is going to make you more aware of this. That's why I think to me
but it
if I
almost makes
saw
me feel like they would be more there would be more hyper terrified and or anyway, like they're
well,
just
see,
like brave now
we don't
because they
know
know
how
the
many
truth.
nights it's
Yeah.
been. Like, Ty, if you've been doing this for like 10 days and you've been like raping the person for 10 days, you're not expecting on day 11, like, oh, now it's going to snap that they're going to remember. So that's the thing is, I'm
I'm
like,
not saying that the men need to have hyper vigilance or anything like that because again, you mentioned it perfectly where they feel like they're above this, right? So
yeah,
maybe like but like my example is the women are running around terrified in the events when it's happening. And then it's like when they finally realize what's been happening before it takes place again, we're now going to come out on the attack. And it just comes
that's
off
valid. But
unbelievable to me. Yeah.
I feel like the
Like,
biggest reason why they have the advantage is because they know that, like, they know what's going on and the men don't.
here's one little fun scene I made up in my head. The doctor's poisoning all the men because he's sick and sadistic, and all the men are engaged in it, but not everyone at the same level. And even some men that try to speak out against it, he causes them to forget too. So now you have conflicted characters, and then when one of the girls gets one of the guys on their side to wake up to this tragedy, he can't even believe the horrific stuff that he's participating in. Self-sacrifices, kills the evil doctor. Just saying, it could be a fun movie, and then you can still extrapolate your views and everything else that's happening. But I'm like, we already have like the trial P. Diddy's on, and we have Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein. I'm just like, either the movie goes for it or it doesn't. It just is more of an entertaining film because at the end of the day, the movie turns into, well, the girl got hers and the guy's a loser now. Like the end. Like the movie just falls flat on his face at the very end. Like they mention he doesn't eat red meat. She's forcing him to even eat stuff that he doesn't want to. But like, why? Just because he doesn't remember trauma, now he has to be her slave? Like you said, it's not the teacup thing where it's like, oh, we mind enslave you. This is literally just like you forget your traumas. So now I'm like gonna give my company to you. Now I'm gonna eat red meat like you tell me to. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. Like, so like I said, the perfume, the antidote, that's all fine. But in the end, it just turns him into like a weak, feeble man that's like, I'm gonna eat the steak now. Like, why? I didn't understand. Now, maybe when he fell and hit his head, he became like kind of dumb. And Channing Tatum, yeah, he hit his head and he's like, no, I don't remember. And it's like, okay. But I'm literally like, the ending left me with more questions than answers and not in like an ambiguous way. It was more
I mean,
like,
I think this is where
why
Cameron
did you,
agrees with you though, because
why
Cameron
did
said
you,
he didn't like
yeah.
that twist.
So you didn't care for, that was the last scene, right? The very last scene where
That's what
she
you're
mind
talking about,
controls
right,
him.
Cameron? You said you didn't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, is that just Zoe Kravitz being like, "Oh, this is my fantasy," or if women given the opportunity will take advantage? Because, like, but to me, it's like there's not enough in the movie to suggest that. It's almost just like, oh, and she's willing to do that stuff too now,
Well,
or this is
I think the
good,
whole
or what is
I
she
think
saying?
I feel like the whole
Zoe
point is
Kravitz.
just essentially like to me it's the same thing as I saw the devil where like the person becomes almost the monster in trying to like kill the monster.
Okay. You have to stoop to their level to kind of get ahead. But again, she didn't have to. She literally stabbed Gina Davis's
Well,
character.
that's what I think is funny is like who says she has to be a good character? Like that's why I think it's funny is
Yeah.
Jordan's like, yeah, I don't root for her and I hate her. And then I'm like, yeah, that was kind of the point at the end. And that's why I just think it's funny that
Yeah.
like to me that was why I thought that the ending was good is because just because I'm like, oh well, who's to say that this chick's a saint just because like she
Just because
like
he's blind doesn't mean he's a saint.
or
I was thinking of Don't Breathe, sorry.
just because he like yeah the bad things are happening to her doesn't mean that she's like an amazing person that like
Yeah.
and so I think that was what was interesting. It was kind of an interesting take like oh well even though
Yeah,
these
she
bad
uses
things
her
are
phone
happening.
while she's sitting on the toilet. Already, I was very opposed to this character. I'm thinking about all that pink eye she's getting. Forget about it, dude. Jordan, I'm with you, Jordan. Right away, I knew I didn't like her.
But should we just get into what we've seen lately?
Yeah, let's do it. Anyway, any last things? Would I recommend Blink Twice? I do actually. I think there's a lot here of a very competent filmmaker. I'm very interested to see what Zoe Kravitz makes next. If she directs again, I'll definitely check it out. I really will.
I
I think
would
there's enough
recommend
here to.
and unless that you are weird and then like there's like one thing that about a film that you don't like and then you can't enjoy the rest of the film because of that, then I wouldn't. Because this is right up that alley of Jordan, similar to oh I didn't like Jamie Lannister's accent in this movie, so I'm gonna give it a half star. When I'm like this movie is great, and you're like I couldn't get over his accent. Like
No, Cameron, I gotta be honest, in my older and older age, sometimes it's just one thing to turn me off.
Yeah.
Just
Oh
so I'm
yeah.
yeah,
and it's weird. I'm like, I
do you
can't
know
get
what that's
over it.
called? That's called autism. It's called it. That's hyperfixation on something and unable to move on from
It's
it.
true. It's true. Like I said,
Yeah.
like the more, but I enjoyed the conversation and Blink Twice. Yeah, very mature subjects matter. So you listeners out there, giving this warning after the podcast, unlike the movie, which warns you immediately. Our trigger warnings coming out now at the end. So yeah, check out Blink Twice. Cameron, what have you been watching lately, man? Jordan's shaking his head. Jordan highly recommends it. Two enthusiastic thumbs up. Before the
Um,
podcast runs like a, if you hang up, I'm not getting back on.
I I just watched the it comes at night and then Justice League
Hey
Crisis
Cameron,
on.
quick question. Has anything changed in your opinion about it comes at night?
Um, oh, I still do think that it was something. I think that there's actually even a possibility. Like I've tried to look into your side and see is it possible it that it is jealousy.
Yeah.
To me, I just still struggle with one, what's getting people sick,
Bless
and
you.
then two, what hurt the dog. Because the thing is,
Mm,
I've like tried to justify that maybe he killed the dog to try and create drama and to make it seem like the kid or some issue. But to me, I'm like, the dog was harmed in a way that didn't look human. So I don't know. I just feel like
yeah.
it's hard to say that. And plus, it was like very apparent that either he's the best actor in the world or like when he was like, I want to see it. And the dad's like, no, if you want me to be the bad
Yeah.
guy, I'll be the
Yeah.
bad guy.
Yeah.
That seemed very genuine to me. That would be, I
Sure.
feel like, pretty hard to fake unless he was like a straight up sociopath.
Well,
Like to
because
fake
he
that.
wanted to he wanted a girlfriend that bad, Cameron. You'd be surprised the lengths that men will go. We
And
just
so
watched what lengths women will go.
and, and so
Well,
and
no, we
so
just watched what men will go.
and so
They'll
so
buy an
to
entire island.
so to me, I was like, ah, that's kind of a tough like
Sure.
like logistical follow on that. That's I
Hmm.
just think it's funny to talk about suspension of disbelief. Ty's over
Yeah.
here ready to suspend all disbelief. All of it is a dream, and he wants to have sex with this girl. And then this movie, it's like, but what? Why
Dude,
wasn't her boss
all I'm
present?
saying is
Where was the boss?
men have done worse than kill a dog just for tail. We just watched an entire movie called Blink
I
Twice.
don't know. I don't know. See, I, I feel like dog is like almost borderline in that child section where it's like even murderers are like, you're
Yeah,
touching
yeah,
children, that kind of stuff. I feel like
yeah,
even like murdering or torturing a dog, like even
yeah.
murder. like for the most part, unless they're like a serial killer, would be like,
No, it's so funny you say
yeah,
that,
okay,
Cameron,
that's
because
kind
what
of
was the internet sleuth that found that guy that was abusing cats? They literally got him arrested or whatever because he was abusing animals, and
Yeah,
they
don't
had
F
all
with
these people who were
cats.
like, okay, using clues from the room, they like, okay, let's figure out when this poster was made, and like they literally like using details from the videos he was releasing, found the guy,
You should watch
doxed
it, Cameron.
him.
It's pretty
It's
cool.
really interesting, yeah,
that's crazy.
but it's like don't F with cats. Is that what it was
Yeah, that's the
called?
name
Yeah,
of it on Netflix.
it
But
was a
yeah,
pretty interesting
so
documentary.
and then I just watched I finally finished the three-part like Crisis on Infinite Earth Justice League. And
Mhm.
there was a really cool tribute to Kevin Conroy, who's for Batman fans, you know who that is, but it's
Oh
just
yeah.
essentially the guy who's done the voice since the animated series and has done like the Arkham games and like a ton of different animated stuff with Batman. And it was just really cool because they kind of got a send off because they were killing off a lot of the multiverse planets. It's what's cool about DC is at least the animated world is what they did is they just killed off the multiverse. They just ended it to where the only way for the multiverse to survive was it had to become planet one. And so all Supermans from different multiverses had to essentially fuse into one person. And so they said like you'll be a part of a conscience in that one Superman, but like it's the only way to save it.
Oh
And so
dang. So all the other Supermans had to go into the sunken place of Superman's mind.
literally it's kind of crazy.
Dang, dude.
And so I liked that just because I think sometimes like multiverse like I mean when Marvel shows that and stuff like that I think sometimes you can kind of just get too carried away or it's like we're gonna kill this character but we'll bring him back from a different like an alternate reality and it's like
Yeah.
you kind of took away like the death but I do love like
Hey, every multiverse life is precious, Cameron. Okay?
and
Every
so
multiverse life is precious.
but
Listen to me. I'm
but
brainwashed.
I am excited for kind of the next step for DC. And then what I want to rewatch is I really want to rewatch Silence. Martin Scorsese's Silence with
Mm,
Andrew Garfield and Adam Driver. Um, it was just a hard watch at the first time. I really enjoyed it. Gave like an 8 out of 10, but I think on a rewatch it has potential to be like top 200 for me just because I feel like it's
mm,
very up in my alley of just like it honestly reminds me a little bit of uh Unbroken, but also I
mm.
love kind of the implications of it because have either of you seen it?
Yeah,
The
since
implications.
I never even dropped my line, my
Yeah.
review from
Well,
Letterboxd.
wait, so
She's
both
not
of you
gonna,
have seen
they're
it?
not, the girls are not gonna say no because of the implication.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I didn't finish it
blink
though,
twice was.
so don't tell me yet.
You didn't
Okay.
finish Silence Turn? It's good. Yeah, I
So,
saw
because
Silence.
I just kind of like that, like the challenge that the question essentially Liam Neeson is challenging Andrew Garfield with. I think that's so interesting. Like, is it
That's the
disrespecting your
word for
God?
son. Yeah,
Is
that's
it
the word for God.
disrespecting your God to step on this like thing that has nothing to do with him, like symbolically to help others? More like, is that more good and morally correct than like refusing to do that and letting others suffer for you. And like it's just such a crazy dilemma that it's like, oh my gosh. Because usually when it like people I feel like often are okay, like I'll suffer for something I morally believe in, but it's like, are you willing to let others suffer for what you morally believe? And that is kind of just a crazy question because then it's like, is doing that morally correct? Because it's like you are staying
Right.
true to your beliefs, but then it's like, at what point are you sacrificing? And that's what I love is he's like, you're is it the only thing you're saving right now is your pride. And it's so interesting because I'm like,
Right.
is that pride or is that belief like or is that like
Right.
resilience? Like
Faith, yeah.
it's such an interesting kind of I think conversation of like
Kind of like if
where
someone were to
does
put a gun to your head and was like, forsake your faith in God. And you're like, if I just
exactly
say yes, but it's not in my heart, God would forgive me. But I'm like, I could still do a lot of good on this earth by lying to this individual and keep going. Or
exactly
this
especially if you have
final
like
act
a
of defiance, I'm courageous and not going to turn. Yeah, it's
yeah
like,
because like do because if you have a family is it
it's interesting.
selfish of you to
Yeah.
get killed and it's like especially if you're
Trust me, if someone offered me a bullet to the head, I'd be like, yes, I believe in God.
because that's the
Nothing will
thing is
change
like
me.
if
Kill me
if
now,
you were the
please.
only one in danger and you knew that like it would put your family in a difficult position like is that selfish to be like oh well I'm going to stand up for what I believe die knowing you're putting other people in a difficult position it's just a really
Sure.
interesting kind of I think dilemma that Martin does a really good job of
We should do
like
the Christian problem. It's like the trolley problem where everyone's like, "Oh, would you kill one person if it's everyone on the
yeah
trolley or whatever?"
hmm
Now we can do, yeah. Would you die for your beliefs
Well,
or whatever?
there's
Is it
literally
good?
a
would
lady
you
that
let
came
others
there's a lady who came back from a mission in the most poor country in Africa, and she said they told her if she didn't deny her religion, like she would get uh, uh, fired from her job, and it's like she needed that to feed her kids, and
Yeah.
and getting a job is really difficult in
What's
this
she end up
place.
doing?
She said to the
She
lady,
killed her boss, actually.
no, she said she didn't deny it because no, they found her Book of Mormon and they said if you don't is this yours? And she went and told them yes it is, and she lost her job. And she said if I die tomorrow, because in the poorest country in the world people die all the time. Like literally nobody has any extended family because like everybody dies so rapidly there.
Mm,
And so she said, if I die tomorrow, I don't want to meet God and be like, you know, rejected you at my
mm.
last meal, So
Yeah, but see, but then it
Man.
brings then that's what brings Liam Neeson's question, which is so interesting because then it's like, is that a God worth worshiping that wouldn't understand like the unhearted or like a essentially a fake disrespect to
Right.
protect or provide? Like how is that a God worth worshiping if he wouldn't understand? But then it's like, how
Right.
am I a servant worth serving if I don't? It's that interesting
Yeah.
balance that I think is like a really interesting
No, it is
discussion.
yeah.
really interesting. Like, what is fate? Like, and that's again, Silence. What a great title for a movie. My gosh, Scorsese. I
Yeah.
think that is a slow burn movie that puts freaking Killers of the Flower Moon
Well,
to
and
shame.
the
And a lot of
lady that
people were
had
I
like,
don't know.
"Oh, so what a
I think
snooze fest," but it's so
I
good.
think I still think Killers of the Flower Moon is slower than Silence.
well, and the lady
No,
that
I do too. Yeah, but like it sucked. Sorry, no
no,
offense to Killers of the
sorry,
Flower
I
Moon.
rewatched Killers of the Flower Moon, amazing
Is it
movie.
good? I do
Yeah,
want to
I've
give it a
I've seen it
rewatch, but I was
twice. It's
so
great.
disappointed. I know. I was
Um,
so disappointed. Did
and
you like it the first time though? So
Silence
you
is the one
hardly
I
did.
have a hard time getting through. That one's slow.
It's
Um,
slow, but was he slow? But it's so good, Jordan.
slow.
Or
Was
does
he
it mean
Slow?
slow?
slow? Was
Was
he
he?
slow?
Was he slow?
Was he slow? I showed my wife that scene. I just love that scene. I
Was he
She
feel
slow?
hasn't
he.
seen Baby Driver?
I just don't. I don't like Baby Driver. Sorry.
Baby Driver's
um,
so good.
uh, I forgot what I was getting at. Oh, so
Jordan has the weirdest.
lady that gave
I know.
the lady that talked about that lady, she's like, I don't think I could have done that. So like,
The
yes,
lady that
Cameron,
talked
you're
about
right.
that lady. What are we talking about?
Sorry, the
Oh,
lady that spoke about the
South
woman in
Africa.
Africa, she's
Okay,
like,
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think I could have done that for my
yeah,
family. Because yeah, like
Yeah.
you said,
It's such a yeah, because that's what's so interesting is like, where does your own personal belief like enter into pride? But it's like, is can that pride be in your belief? Like, because is that not necessarily bad pride? Like that you're proud to believe and like essentially be like a servant or like a believer in that God? Like, isn't that good pride or is that like ego pride? I don't know. It's just a really
Well,
interesting.
it's
right.
different though for this woman too, because she knows she could die at any minute. Like literally,
Yeah.
people get eaten alive by animals. Like they just die of starvation, die of dysentery. Just so many reasons they die. Like things that we have resolved here. It's like, oh, they can die by a cold there, and it's like
Yeah.
here we can just take some medicine. But
True.
But of course, South Africa sounds lovely at this time of year. Let's not badmouth such a country too much.
but for real, like
I know, I don't want it's making me laugh. You're like, what a horrible place. I'm just glad that South Africa is not real. Let's talk about one last thing I wanted to mention was I was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast. He had an interviewee on talking about cults and how much of our environment shapes who we are. One, it made me think of Jack Nicholson in the beginning of The Departed. I want to be a, what does he say? I want to
I don't want to be a product of my
product of my
environment.
environment. I want my
My
environment to be a
environment to be a
product.
product of
My product.
me.
Yeah. And it is interesting because like how much ownership do we have of like who we are? Because like everything that we've been exposed to being raised in the United States, speaking English, the entertainment we consume, the culture we live in, our family dynamics, our religion, like there's so much, but it's like if you were born in South Africa, like Jordan mentioned this example here, how much of you would you actually be? Like
Well, I'm pretty sure it's
Cameron,
not South
you
Africa because South Africa is actually a pretty good country in Africa. It's probably like something like Somalia or something like that.
That
yeah,
sounds
Jordan.
right. Somalia.
Jordan can't be bothered to learn the difference between the two.
I didn't
But
say South Africa. I just said
oh,
Africa.
oh, okay,
Yeah,
so
and
somewhere in
yeah,
Africa. Okay, so somewhere in Africa,
You were the
if you
one
were
throwing
born
out
there, yeah,
some
if you were
stuff.
born somewhere in Africa and like how much of you would you still be? Like, would you be fun, outgoing, social, like any of the characteristics that you have if you had grown up somewhere else? It's just weird to think about, right? Like, how much ownership do we have of who we are? How many times have we taken on opinions of something just because someone else told us how we should think about something? I once defended a band I'd never heard of before to somebody else, and someone else was like, "Yeah, they're crap." And I was like, "But the person that I met before them told me that they were a good band. I never listened to their music." And then when they asked about it, I defended the band, never even knowing their music. And then I get called out for it. And
And
then
their
I had to
music's like
double
Satan
down.
worshiping. Yeah.
And they're like, I'm surprised you like that. And I'm like, yeah, this is garbage. No, but then I was like, I found myself defending a viewpoint that I didn't even actually have. And I'm like, I wonder how much of our opinions and cultures and beliefs are informed by just what we hear and
Oh
what we
yeah,
want to do to
there's
feel accepted, right? I just thought that
yeah.
was really interesting because that goes into the discussion about this religion stuff. I find it very fascinating because I'm like, yeah, how much of my belief system and everything else, like Jared Bauer put us to the test when we had him on. We love you, Jared. We know you listen to the podcast because we listen to yours.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Um, but you were the best thing that ever happened to Wisecrack. That show fell off a cliff after you left, Jared. Sorry. They ran your show into the ground. No offense, but I can say that because Jared was the best
They
creative of
killed
that.
this baby.
They killed his baby. My baby. Sorry, dragged across concrete. What I was going to say is I'm fascinated by this
Concrete.
conversation because he too has like mentioned that like and asked us like if we found out it wasn't true, our belief system, our religion, like would it change your life or would you view it any different? And it's like the way I'm living, I do feel fulfilled and joyful. And it does break my heart when I know people that have tried out to live this way and it doesn't seem to bring them joy. And I'm like, I don't know if they just didn't try it out right or they didn't do the right things or maybe I'm delusional. Like it's all these things. But I do find it so fascinating that, yeah, like why isn't there one size that fits all that brings true happiness and joy? Although I do believe that there is, um, sometimes it's hard. It comes at a cost, right? Like it's not always easy. So anyway, I just
Ty, how about
it's
you
a
just
very
stick to
interesting.
movies, okay?
Yeah, yeah. So this has been a yeah, my TED Talk. Thank you. Yeah, that was I don't know what I was getting at. I was just really fascinated by Silence, Cameron. I think that's a really good movie, and Jordan, you should definitely finish it because I could talk about this for hours. So
Yeah. But Jordan,
good stuff.
anything?
Yeah, Jordan, what have you been
You
watching?
can check my letterbox, Jordo0.
I
Peace,
hope
everybody.
I hope your I hope your reviews are as exciting as you are. Okay, well, I'll throw out something. So I just watched Killer again, The Killer, directed by David
It's
Fincher,
just
and
killer.
no, it's The Killer. It
Oh
is
yeah, it's
The
the killer.
Killer.
I thought you were
Yeah,
saying
The Killer.
killers. Yeah.
No, no, The Killer's Ashton Kutcher and 27 Dresses, Katherine Heigl. No, not a chance. Although to be fair, I don't think I saw that movie. I saw Night and Day with Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz, and that
Same
movie
movie.
was, yeah, it's the same movie basically. But
Honestly, yeah, I don't know which one is better. But
yeah, which one is better? They're both
Mr.
pretty.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith is the best. That's the whole
That's the
point.
best. Yeah,
I just
exactly.
love that your favorite scene is the action scene. I thought that was the least best part of this film.
I thought that was interesting. You said that. Why do you say that? Like, did you think it wasn't
It's just
choreographed well, or what? Like,
no, it's not that it's I just action I kind of check out when somebody starts punching somebody, I'm like, I'm bored.
well, it's funny that you say that because up
Oh my
until that
gosh, bro. Talk
moment,
about desensitization. Holy
yeah, dude,
cow. You're
jeez.
worse than
Like,
Grant.
No, if it
I will
unless it's
tell you,
Jackie
yeah.
Chan, I just don't care. I'm just like
So it's interesting you say
CGI.
that. See, for me, this fight scene hits
CGI.
hard. Yeah. No, I think this fight scene hits really hard because the way that they use
I gotta hop off because I gotta
sound.
finish packing, but I love
Oh,
you guys.
okay. Hey, love you, Kim. Thanks for coming on. Peace.
Peace.
I just wanted to throw out Jordan and defend. I think that the way they use sound in the fight makes it sound and feel more visceral because lately, I agree with you, a lot of action scenes do lose me. Too many quick cuts, not any contact actually happening. It's all camera trickery to make you think it's happening. This one, like the punches landed because it wasn't edited like so many of the action movies that have been coming out lately. It just felt very different. Like the camera kind of shuddered, but it wasn't shaky cam. Does that make sense?
I know, sorry, you just used
Yeah.
the word
Yep.
shuttered when you said on Shutter Island, which is funny because that kind of taken full circle because you're like,
And we're back, baby.
yeah.
We're back. We're so back, baby. No, so anyway, yeah, the fight scene, like, it's not like I'm like, oh, like it needed more action or it needed less action. I just thought the one fight scene was fun because
Do you know the
it's this
guy that
character
did
that
the
they've been building. Yeah.
Do you know the guy
Sorry.
that did the Raid just made a new movie? Did you see it? It's on
See,
Netflix.
I haven't seen the new Raid, no, but I remember watching
It's
Raid and
not
being
called
like, it's
Raid.
oh,
It's with Tom Holland. Is that the Bane guy?
Spider-Man?
Yes.
Oh, Tom Hardy.
Hardy, sorry.
No, no worries. Yeah, Tom Holland's the Spider-Man. So I just thought that was funny. You're like, yes. And I was like, I don't remember
Yes, I'm
Spider-Man sound like
Spider-Man.
that.
Yes.
Yes, come kiss me upside down. That's so funny.
Anyways, Tom
He's in the
Hardy.
alleyway. I was born in it. It wasn't until I was older that I saw the light.
It's brightening.
It's blinding.
It's blinding. Um, yeah, you would like it because the
Hmm.
first half, I mean, I don't think he's a great storyteller. Sorry, no offense,
Yeah.
but his action is great, and that's the second half.
So
It's
it's
so
directed by
good.
Tom Hardy or stars Tom Hardy? What
No,
is
no, no.
this?
Stars
Yeah.
Tom Hardy. It's directed
Oh.
by the guy that did Raid 1 and 2.
Oh, okay.
So he just
Is
makes really
this a
good
new
action.
movie or is this an old movie?
Yeah,
What is
it's
this?
on Netflix, just dropped like recently.
I'll check it out. I like Tom Hardy. I think Raid was really well done. So it's funny that you say it because, like, I agree. There are mindless action movies, but
Well,
like,
because
there's
you just said
some.
there's not a lot of good new ones, and I was just pointing out that one has
Okay,
some good action. So
I'll check it out. What I liked about it though was how much it builds up to this scene because this fight is so meaningful. We already have Michael Fassbender struggling to do anything competently. Like he keeps saying like, "Oh, I'm focused. I'm this and that," and he fails time and time again. He he tortures a guy. He's like, "You got 7 minutes left to bleed out," and he dies instantly. He's like, "I got to be ready for the shot any minute," and then he shoots the wrong person. Like he's just constantly failing, and it's just really funny. And there's literally a scene where it does
I
like
need
the
to rewatch
casino.
that.
I highly recommend rewatching. I enjoyed it much more rewatching it,
Okay.
the whole movie, because I
I'm a little
agree. Like,
nervous because I
yeah.
like thought it was almost a masterpiece, so I'm a little
Oh,
worried.
really? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I enjoyed it because there were little things that I enjoyed more. And part of me is like, it's such a nice tight 90 minutes. I'm almost like, I will watch it again and again. And it's funny because David Fincher does such a good job at building up to the fight scene because it's not even just the fight scene and
This
oh,
is
this
the
is
movie,
actually
by the way, Havoc,
Havoc. I'll definitely check that out.
Netflix.
What I like about David Fincher is that, again, as a really good storyteller, he does a great job at building the suspense of this fight. Because there's even a scene where right before it, he sees him get in the car with like four other guys, and he's like, "I hope they're not staying over, like I hope your friends go home." So they drop him off, and he's like, "Okay, it's just one guy." But then the fact that he's so unbelievably outmatched, and what's so great, he's literally narrating, and mid-sentence, he gets tackled from behind. The fight scene does not go according to his plan, and he doesn't do anything impressive. He's grabbing picture frame, he's grabbing everything and just trying to throw it at him because nothing is going according to plan, and it's just so frantic and it's so good. He's literally grabbing him, throwing him into the breaking the closet boards, the closet doors. He's smashing him against the TV. Like he's just mopping the floor with him. So it's very entertaining to watch for like almost a dark comedy reason, but highly recommend it. Yeah, The Killer was absolutely awesome. And then I don't think I watched anything else other than, like I said, I've mentioned Lockwood and Co. Really fun show. But now my wife is reading the book series, so I have to wait till she's done reading the entire book series so we don't spoil anything. But thankfully, she's a very fast reader, unlike me, who is slow and dumb.
I I
And then
also
I watched
bought.
the last episode of The
Oh,
Rehearsal, but that's everything I
yeah, that
watched.
was fun. I
Yeah.
also bought Mickey 17, so you can watch it. I don't know if you wanted to watch it though.
I'm tempted because I've heard it's like Oakja. I think you mentioned Oakja, and I'm
Yeah.
like, but to watch
Well,
Mark
the
Ruffalo
the
do an impression
second
of Trump,
half, I
it's
mean, the
yeah.
first half is a fun
Even to see Robert Pattinson
and
like
give a
go
great
for it, yeah,
performance. Yeah.
yeah, could be worth it. If not, yeah, like I said, it's just like seeing that scene of Oakja and be like, yeah, I like that scene of Jake Gyllenhaal just going for it, just going
Oh
all
yeah,
for
yeah,
it,
yeah. Yeah.
So maybe for highlights or something, I'd see it, but I'm gonna watch a lot more movies first before I get to
Okay.
Mickey
Well,
17
I
probably.
I recommend Havoc, even if you want to just skip. Serious, I'm not
Yeah.
even kidding. Skip till halfway point, and when you see the action, just scroll through.
Would you stop? I enjoy if the story's
Uh,
good or even
it's
like well told.
boring. The story sucked.
Jordan's like, let's skip to the end, get to the action scenes.
I tried getting through it, man. I was just like, holy crap, if something doesn't happen. And
No,
then the
because you're wrong, because you didn't like Extraction. Extraction's a good movie.
Extraction.
Jordan's like, this dumb kid. He wants to be a pop star. I couldn't relate to him. He's just chasing money and fame, and I can't stand him. The kid's like, I
Yeah.
just want a bowl of
I'm
food to eat. He's
I am
starving
literally
kid.
turning into dad where it's like movies just don't interest me anymore. I just like I rewatch the
We
same.
literally do a movie podcast. We're telling people about
Well, no,
movies, and
that's
we're
I
like, there's
mean
no
that's part of
movies
the reason
out.
I gave it over to you guys. I'm just like I just like to rewatch my favorite films. That's it. New movies, I hate new movies. It
You
just
know what's funny? I noticed that rewatching movies, I appreciate them a lot more. When I watch any new movie now, I'm always like, oh, I didn't like it. But then like rewatching them, I enjoy them more. I don't know if
yeah.
that
Well,
helps.
it's
Like even
but
in movies that I'm like, okay, it was at least good. Watch it again. I appreciate it a lot more on second viewing. For some reason, my first viewing of most movies these days, I feel the same. I'm always like, just different. It's like when you first listen to a new
and
album
Ty's
drop
like
by
I
your
lowered
famous
the
musician.
bar and now it's
No,
good.
that is funny that you say that. But again, it's almost like a subversion of expectations because Cameron even mentioned,
And now I love Disney movies.
now I love to say it. Now I've come full circle. I've accepted myself and I'm gay. So, surprise, surprise. No, Cameron mentioned watching, what was the movie? Because the first time it felt like such a subversion of his expectations. But then he's like, I went back and watch it and I didn't know if I would like it. I swear this wasn't a conversation you and I had. This was me and Cameron talking. What was the movie? It wasn't Long Legs. What was the movie? Anyway, he and I were talking about a movie, and he was like, "Yeah, watching it again, he appreciated it so much more." And I was like, "Oh, interesting. Maybe I'll have to go back and rewatch it," because he said he enjoyed it again on rewatching. He didn't think he would, but like he already knew everything about the movie, so he was able to appreciate for other things. So I'll have to ask him what movie that was because we had an interesting conversation about that, and I feel like that's true because I'll find movies that I'm like, "Oh, you know what? I think Maddie or someone else would enjoy watching it," and I sit down and watch it with them, and my viewing experience is greatly enhanced for sure. So get out there and
I,
share movies with people, guys. Stop watching movies alone on your iPad at night. Sad and pathetic. So get out there, get real experiences, buy movie tickets, go see a movie with a loved one. I'm gonna go see Mission Impossible 28 or whatever it's called.
I'm gonna see it too.
Looks fun. Yeah,
IMAX.
I enjoyed, I'm seeing IMAX too. Nice
Nice.
try. So back in your face, reverse Uno card, you stupid brother. I don't know why I got so salty there, but the fact that you're so smug about seeing an IMAX, I'm like, yeah, well, I'm seeing an IMAX too. You're not gonna have a better experience than me, so nice try. Although I am
Oh.
seeing it at 10 p.m. at night, and the movie's like 2 hours and 40 minutes long, and I'm like, oh my gosh. With trailers, we're talking 3 hours. It's like it's gonna be freaking 1 o'clock when the movie's over, and then I have to get up out of my seat and drive home. It's gonna be crazy.
Okay, I'll just really quickly mention two movies I saw that were
Please.
like absolutely bananas. Like they are
Yeah.
horrible, but I loved it. Like it's like, 1 star, but like so funny. I was dying. So one of them's called Between Worlds, and it was Nicolas Cage. And like I just love this lady's like, so what about your wife and your kid? And he's like, they're dead. It's just like how he delivered the line. You're like, who talks like that when you're talking about your dead wife? It just, and
Oh
then
my
the whole
gosh.
movie's about him. His wife possesses, so he meets this new woman and he starts to fall in love with her. But then his wife comes back and possesses the daughter's body, and she's in the hospital. And then all of a sudden, he's like now in love with the daughter, and and so he's like has this weird, awkward relationship with the daughter. She's obviously of age, but it's still like really uncomfortable.
I can
It's
only
just
imagine.
so weird. And then watched another movie called Fried Berry,
Mm.
and this guy who gets
What was
abducted
it?
by
Blackberry? Blackberry?
fried
Oh,
fried berry,
like fried berry. Oh,
and this guy and he gets abducted by aliens, and then he's like part alien or something because he like for whatever reason he's letting off some alien pheromone because all women like want to be with him, and he gets this one girl pregnant and she like gives birth immediately. She like her tummy inflates and then she just gives birth, and then the pimp runs in the room and is like, "What the heck?" It's just like the weirdest banana movie I've ever seen. But I was just showing my wife scenes from it because it's so ridiculous and stupid. I don't
That's so
know.
weird. That gave me images of the mortuary tales or whatever.
Oh
Like
yeah,
the guy getting
literally that.
pregnant.
Yeah, where the guy gets pregnant and
Mortuary
yeah.
collection.
That's funny. I did think of that. But
Hmm.
anyways, I've been watching some trash.
No wonder you're like, check out my letterbox because I'd be embarrassed to have watched any of these films.
Well, I'm cleaning out my movie collection and I'm like deleting a bunch because it's a digital collection, but so
Again,
basic.
for the sake of everyone involved, just why don't you just make more elective decisions before purchasing movies?
Yeah. Well, I'm I have nothing to say.
I am broken. I need
But
help.
no, but seriously, so many times I'm like, what's the point of movies? Like, because
George sounds so
I watch
defeatist.
so much trash.
What is the point of movies? Well, folks, I think we need to end it here before Jordan hangs himself. We love you guys. Listeners, leave us an email, futuremovies@gmail.com. Write us in. Tell Jordan that you love him. Send him some
And
love. He's in need of it.
I'm sorry I wasn't speaking highly of Blink Twice for fans. Hopefully they're not like this piece of crap. I hate him.
No, I
Just
think, no, honestly, I think he spoke to it because I feel conflicted. There's a lot I like, there's a lot I don't. So to me, it's like, I think that's interesting where you have like the groundwork of a very interesting movie and
yeah,
it
there was
almost
some
like what
great
could have been. And
like
yeah.
Cameron just pointed out all the details. Like I did enjoy that. So props to her.
Amy nails? Focus on animals. Yeah.
Peace,
Um,
everybody.
yeah, everybody leave us an email and like our videos and tell us what movie you'd like us to review next. So, bye. Blink
Bye.
twice before you touch my girl. Come around and let you feel the burn. The lyrics are think twice, but anyway. Peace.
Bye.